Hi everyone, today I'm going to do a three-part video on keeping fish. Now, all of my videos, the most popular ones are around fishless cycling, tips for beginners, that kind of stuff. So I thought I'd do a whole video episode of basically starting from scratch, all the equipment that you need and all of the stuff to start off with, and how you can keep some of that price down so you can do it cheaply. That'll be my first video. The second one's going to be around all the maintenance that I do, so the stuff I do on a weekly basis and the monthly things that I do, just to show you how easy it is to keep them and keep the water as crystal clear as this. And then the third one's just going to be some tips around water quality, fishless cycling, and some of that stuff that you need to understand keeping fish, so you don't have too many fish losses and you can enjoy the hobby. So the first part is going to be all about the equipment that you need. So first things first, you've got to get a tank, and then you can look at what everybody else has got inside their tank. My advice on choosing a tank is look at the space where you're going to be putting it and get the biggest one to fill that space. If you get a smaller one, then all you're going to do is, if you enjoy it and you like the hobby, you're just going to want to get a bigger tank to fill that space. So just do that, get the biggest one that fills it at the start. Now, I've got a lot of used tanks because they're much better value for money. You can find those on like eBay or Gumtree, all those sort of listing ads, because you can really pick up a good bargain. Got a filter at the back and the heater as well. That's the only actual equipment that I've got really running the tank. I've also got some lights. You don't have to run those to start off with if you don't want to. If you've got plants in the tank, then you probably will need some light. But these LED ones that I've got cost me £9 from eBay, and they do the job really well. They also keep the algae down because they're really low powered. Now, it's up to you if you want a substrate. So you've got to choose your substrate, whether or not you use sand. You can get like kids play sand from Tesco, really cheap, and that would actually do the job. I've got gravel in this one, it's really fine gravel, but it's completely up to you. You can get some much more expensive ones as well, or you don't have to put anything in and leave it completely bare. Some people like to do this because it's easier to clean. The other stuff that you need is maybe some decorations. What I'll probably suggest is you just get a few to start off with and maybe a plant that you like, because if this is your first tank, you're likely going to put some stuff in and then think, oh actually I really want to do something else. The first thing that you're going to do when you get your tank is you're going to need to cycle it. You can find loads of videos online about cycling, or you can go to part 3 and get my tips about that. So to do the cycling, you're going to need some ammonia. Now if you're in the UK, Homebase store, they sell this stuff, it's pretty cheap, to dose the tank. You're also going to probably need some kind of bacterial kickstart. Now I'm going to talk about those later on. They can be really good, and they could actually mean that you don't need to do this. You could probably put fish in a day or so after the tank's been set up. Water conditioner, so we've got chlorine in the water here that comes out of the tap. If you are using tap water to do your to fill your tank, you're going to need some conditioner to get rid of that chlorine because it damages the fish. Now this is the API master test kit for freshwater aquariums. You're going to want something like this to be able to test your ammonia and nitrate and nitrite right at the start. Talk about that in part 3, but that's what you're going to need. This is about £20, so it's quite expensive. It's quite a pricey investment, but it's worth it. You can get the strips, they're cheaper, but they're not quite as accurate. You're going to need some fish food if you're going to buy some fish. Now this stuff, this is activated carbon. I've got an activated carbon filter in this tank. It's the Aquaflow 200. It came with a Superfish tank that I bought. If you've got activated carbon and you want to keep using it, use this. Another tip, or if you don't want to use activated carbon, is when you come to that monthly change after you bought your filter, you can take the carbon out and fill it with like filter floss. Filter floss you can get from the inside of pillows, and cushions and that kind of thing, and that'll just keep your water really clear. This stuff actually helps with bogwood and that kind of stuff, so when it goes brown, this will get rid of that tanning in the water and make it quite clear. It'll also get rid of medication, so you might want to consider having this depending on what sort of filter you're using. I've got another video about how to make your own filter. That doesn't need any of that. However, I've got some padding. Now the pads do degrade over time. You might want to get yourself some of this. It's £5 on eBay. but you don't need it straight up if you just bought a new filter for the tank. Other stuff that you're going to need, and this is literally it. This is all I use on a monthly and weekly basis. A net if I'm moving fish around, a towel to stop the carpet getting soaked, and this is my algae scraper. So it's just one of those proper cheap little scouring pads that you can get from a local shop or from the supermarket. It does a really good job of getting rid of the algae off the side of the tank. Just scrub it with that. I use it only for tanks, and then it stays clean and safe to use on those. Now the other thing is a bucket. This bucket I use for water changes. It holds 20 litres, which is perfect because that's pretty much how much I do on my tanks every week. You can pick these up for £5. Sometimes they're on offer. I got this on offer from Morrison's for like £3 or something. And then a siphon. That's it. That's all I use on a monthly basis. I've got loads of other stuff, but that is all you need to get your tank going.